Hey there guys, Nukem back here once again. How's it going? Before I begin today's review, I'm gonna have to reveal something. Yes, I am indeed reunited once again with the white background. Yep, we almost got back together like it's a family reunion or something. But in all seriousness, I have an explanation for this. Why, you ask? Because, let me say this. I got some good news and I got some bad news. The bad news is that my previous set that I have in my previous college dorm room, I can't go there until the spring semester. Why, you ask? Well, let's just say that the 3rd and 4th floors of my apartment complex, it flooded. Yes, because of a pipe burst that happened in the 3rd and 4th floor of my university apartment complex, the whole entire 3rd and 4th floor, they're completely destroyed and flooded. Now, while I lived on the 5th floor, I was absolutely fine and nothing was flooding on that floor. However, I had to move because of precautionary reasonings and construction purposes. But thankfully, as of we speak right now, the construction crew over at my university is reconstructing the building, making it more safe so there wouldn't be any hazards like it again. However, the good news is, I am finally back reviewing movies for you guys. For today's review, prepare to sing your Galileos, your Figaros, and your Bismillah, because we are about to review the latest Queen biopic that is coming out this November, known as the one, the only, Bohemian Rhapsody. Now, seeing how I'm a huge heavy metal fan and a hard rock fan, and also seeing by this t-shirt, I am of course indeed a fan of Queen. Queen is one of the most inspirational, iconic, and influential bands that have ever been listened to by anyone. They have revolutionized the way we listen to music today. They went against the status quo. And this was a band that continuously created classic after classic after classic, like Hammer to Fall, the hardcore Henry theme of Don't Stop Me Now, Bohemian Rhapsody, of course, The Show Must Go On, I Want It All, Somebody to Love, Scandal, and of course, We Will Rock You and We Are the Champions, a song that has been played multiple times in multiple football games. This was a band so huge and legendary that without Queen, we wouldn't be listening to music the same way again. Then again, music today now kinda sucks, but still. And most of it is thanks to the 4 band members known as John Deacon, Roger Taylor, Brian May, and of course, Freddie Mercury. Now, seeing how this is a band that was popular 30 or 40 years ago, people have been wondering when did they get to see a movie about these guys? Funnily enough, there was a movie being made that was actually in development with Sacha Baron Cohen as Freddie Mercury. However, Sacha Baron Cohen left the project in 2013 because of creative differences with the filmmakers, and the film has been in production hell for almost 5 years. And things got a little bit worse on the director's side because while Bryan Singer was originally supposed to direct the whole movie, after multiple absences and continuous clashes with the cast and crew, Bryan Singer was instead fired and the directing rights were given over to Dexter Fletcher, who completed the whole project. And now, after so many long years of having to wait for a Queen biopic, we finally get it in the form of Bohemian Rhapsody. In Bohemian Rhapsody, instead of Sacha Baron Cohen playing the lead part, Freddie Mercury is instead being played by Rami Malek of the Mr. Robot fame. And what this movie is about is essentially a story that focuses on Freddie Mercury's life and how Queen gained its popularity over the years. We see various plot lines that actually happened in Freddie Mercury's life, like him connecting with and having conflicts with his band members like Brian May, Roger Taylor, and John Deacon, as they go on to make songs like Another One Bites the Dust, We Will Rock You, We Are the Champions, and also the most popular Queen song of all time, Bohemian Rhapsody. We see Freddie Mercury trying to handle and sustain a healthy relationship between what he considers to be the love of his life and Mary Austin. We see him trying to deal with and later on having to accept the circumstances about his up-and-coming homosexuality, up until a point in the climax where all 4 band members perform at Live Aid, which most people would consider to be the greatest live performance of all time. So what do I personally think about this movie? Well, seeing how I was extremely looking forward to this movie, I would have to tell you guys this. This movie is one of the most cynical, emotionally manipulative, historically inaccurate, paint-by-numbers, formulaic, and disappointing movies I have seen this whole year. I know, guys, I'm so sorry that I have to say this, but Bohemian Rhapsody is just not that good of a movie. Now, I know there are tons of Queen fans that are probably gonna bash this review down, but let me tell you this. I wanted this movie to be good. It was one of my most anticipated movies of the whole year. But in all seriousness, guys, as I was watching the movie, this movie literally reminded me of another movie that came out last year. I was literally thinking to myself, oh my god, this movie is reminding me of The Greatest Showman. Except that Bohemian Rhapsody is nowhere as bad as The Greatest Showman, so I'll give it props for that. So instead of bitching and moaning about the stuff that I absolutely didn't like about this movie, let me tell you about the stuff that I absolutely dug about this movie. I would have to say that some of the performances, even from the side characters, are very great in the movie. The last three band members of Queen, that being Brian May, Roger Taylor, and John Deacon, who are all being played by Willem Lee, Ben Hardy, and Joseph Mazzello, do an absolutely great job portraying the roles. They do a phenomenal job, not only by looking like the actual band members back in the day. Seriously, they almost looked exactly like them. But because of their performance, they do a great job at convincing you that you are watching the band members on screen. However, while I say that they do a great job at performing their roles, their characters don't really stand out as much. Because of the lackadaisical direction by Bryan Singer or whoever else was in charge, the characters of the last three band members are mostly one-dimensional or almost non-existent, almost playing them out like audience POVs just to gawk at how awesome Freddie Mercury is. However, there was one performance and one character that I really liked throughout the whole movie, and that was Lucy Boynton, who plays Mary Austin. She's the one who carries the most amount of emotion throughout the whole movie, and she is so good in this movie that when you see her on screen whenever she's dealing with conflicts, including people like Freddie Mercury, that when you see her being put into those circumstances, you can't help but feel sorry for her. And I would have to say that the staging and the production, and even some of the choreography behind most of the music being developed, or even performing on stage, is done incredibly well. As a matter of fact, one of the best scenes in the movie is in the climax with Live Aid. The production design of the stage is great, and the choreography when it comes down to the exact same movements that Freddie Mercury does on stage, and even some of the movements of the band members, is so extraordinarily executed that you just cannot help but feel lost in the performance. However, it would have been much cooler if you had real people actually there watching the performance, instead of looking like in some other shots the reused fan models from Madden NFL 19. I do agree that the Live Aid performance that happens at the end is a truly spectacular scene. However, in order to get to that ending, you would have to get through the other stuff, aka the negatives. Let's talk about the one that some people are probably gonna hold their pitchforks and torches about. Personally, I am not a fan of Rami Malek's performance as Freddie Mercury. Don't get me wrong, Rami Malek is a very good actor, and I've seen him in multiple stuff like Mr. Robot. That guy is talented. However, in his performance as Freddie Mercury, as people have been saying, oh my gosh, he should be nominated for Best Actor at the Academy Awards. He captures Freddie Mercury so perfectly. He is Freddie Mercury. I would kind of have to disagree. Basically for me, Rami Malek's performance as Freddie Mercury pretty much reminded me of a roller coaster ride. And no, it's not because of entertainment value. It's because his performance goes up and it's very good, and it goes down and it's not that good. And it goes up and it's good, and it goes down and it's not that good. And trust me, this is not at fault with the actor in this. It has to do with the direction, because Rami Malek doesn't have a character to work with. When he is on stage performing one of the Queen songs, he embodies Freddie Mercury because he's got the mannerisms and the behaviors and the movements right. It's got that flamboyant and energetic characteristic about him whenever he's performing to a crowd of people. However, when he's off stage talking to people, the film basically makes him out to look like some flamboyant, loudmouth, homosexual prima donna caricature that is basically hard to get along with. In real life, Freddie Mercury is shy and a little reserved, so it made his kind of questioning as, is he gay or is he not, a little bit questioning. Here, when you're watching the movie, it is pretty apparent right out the gate that he has the mannerisms or the characteristics of a flaming gay man. But there are some moments where Rami Malek's performance as Freddie Mercury does shine, and that's when he's having conversations and conflicts with Mary Austin. When the two of them have scenes together, there is emotion and sincerity behind those performances, and it makes up for some very good drama. However, when it comes to the subplot of him having to deal with his sexuality, it's not even done that clever or subtle in the least. One of the scenes that isn't constructed so well is that Freddie Mercury is on a payphone talking to Mary Austin, and then some biker guy just walks up to Freddie Mercury and gives him the look like this. And then Freddie Mercury is all of a sudden kind of nervous about it and a little bit shaking a bit. It ruins the mystery of the viewer, because if they never even heard of Queen before, they'll instantly figure out, oh, okay, he's gay. And that's not even good staging or good directing. Like, where's the mystery? Where's the intrigue behind it? Another complaint I have with this movie is that the script is so formulaic, by the numbers, and takes all of the cliches that you have seen from every other underdog biopic. Most of them somewhat have to do with a musician or a talented person. Now I get this is somewhat of an origin story about Freddie Mercury's life and how Queen gained its popularity over the years, but the problem is that they can't even seem to do it well. Instead, we have a story that is generic and simplistic, being compiled with nothing more than a bunch of fictional biopic cliches, like the disapproving parents, the introduction to fame to the main character. There was a manager who was possibly going to screw over the main character, one of them being played by Aidan Gillen of Game of Thrones, who was possibly attempting to screw over Freddie Mercury. And then comes the crisis point in Act 2, where the main character is reaching the lowest points of his life, only to make an astonishing 28-3 caliber comeback in the final act. But also, this movie has a thing where it does this whole pattern of, oh, here's how we got this, here's where that came from, here's how this song was created. Like, for example, the comedy relief while making the song Bohemian Rhapsody, or even cheesy moments where Freddie Mercury, the first time he's playing on stage, where Freddie Mercury just fumbles around with it a little bit only to, you know, yank it out and reveal the iconic thing that Freddie Mercury uses, a microphone with the half stand. And the scenes that you see are being handled so phony and theatrical that I guarantee you, even the most diehard Queen fans wouldn't be convinced that that actually happened. And speaking of stuff that didn't actually happen, my main issue with this movie is that it has unbelievably huge historical inaccuracies. A lot like the movie from last year, The Greatest Showman, this movie lies to you. It literally lies to you because the film changes history just for the sake of crowd-pleasing entertainment. It's Hollywoodized fiction and emotional manipulation only to be masqueraded by things that people liked when they were fans of Queen, like callbacks, songs, and performances on stage. And I'm gonna do this by providing 3 examples, and they are big ones. Number 1, the formation of the band is entirely altered. Here's what happens. The head frontman Tim Schaffel of the band Smile didn't walk out of the band saying, oh, sorry guys, we're gonna break up, we're not really going anywhere, only for Freddie Mercury to miraculously show up and say, hey, I write some songs and I sing some tunes, would you like me to join the band? In reality, Freddie Mercury and Tim Schaffel were actually friends in college, as Freddie Mercury became the rightful replacement after Tim decided to move on. There's another moment in this movie where Freddie Mercury and the other band members, they get into an argument because Freddie Mercury signed a solo record deal without telling the other band members, which results into a huge argument allowing for the band to split up. Queen didn't break up because Freddie Mercury didn't tell the other band members that he signed a solo record deal. I mean, heck, they didn't even break up to begin with when they were trying to reunite for Live Aid. It would be kind of hypocritical because both Roger Taylor and Brian May, before Freddie Mercury, have done solo record albums. Twice from Roger Taylor and once from Brian May, all of which was done before Freddie Mercury can think of an idea for a solo record album. And even the solo record album was something that Freddie Mercury was very passionate about, as well as something he wanted to do for quite some time. And here's the thing that's gonna really throw you for a loop. At the same time while Queen and Freddie Mercury reunited with each other during band practice, Freddie Mercury comes clean with the guys and then says, guys, I have a problem with me. I have AIDS. And then they use it as motivation to go and make a great performance in Live Aid. Queen fans, pop quiz. When did Live Aid happen? 1985. When was he diagnosed with AIDS? 1987. Yes, Freddie Mercury in this movie was diagnosed with AIDS the exact same day that Live Aid was going to happen and used it as motivation to make a phenomenal performance of the ages. It's the kind of theatrical manipulation to please an audience that is not only displayed wrong, but it is also insulting to the legacy of Freddie Mercury. The disappointing thing about Bohemian Rhapsody is that it should have been so much more. It should have just been more emotional and grounded rather than just being glossy and fake. This movie, in all honesty, should have just stuck with the storyline from Straight Outta Compton, where it introduced us to other characters from the band, let us know what they're all about, and once they reunite and they do some of the greatest accomplishments known to their entire history, and once the emotional stuff kicks in, it really kind of hits you because you care about these characters, and then we just get a bittersweet but kind of satisfying ending. This movie should have been so much more than it had any right to be, but unfortunately, That is not what I got. Bohemian Rhapsody is a gigantic disappointment. While there were some performances from other cast members that were great, some of the production, cinematography, and even some of the choreography from some of the stuff on stage, it's executed very perfectly. However, you have a generic and typical story with huge historical inaccuracies and subplots that don't even feel genuine and just feel fake and phony. With characters that we can't personally latch onto except for one character and one sadly inconsistent performance from Rami Malek as Freddie Mercury. So with that being said, I'm gonna have to give Bohemian Rhapsody a 1.5 out of 5. Alright guys, so that is my review of Bohemian Rhapsody. Comment below and let me know what you thought about the movie. Find me on Facebook, Twitter, Google+. And also, if you would like to see more reviews like this, be sure to subscribe for more. My name is Luke Nukem, and you, my friends, have been blown away.
If there's one thing you cannot accuse this man of, it's burying the lead, because Rami Malek, I think that this is like a Daniel Day-Lewis Lincoln situation where this is you see this performance and everybody else who's going to the Oscars for Best Actor can just, you can take the night off, have a few drinks, no worry about giving a speech. I am that confident that he is going to win Best Actor in virtually anything that he could possibly competing in this award season.
What do you think? They're talking from here.